Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Iolande Argent Show. I am your hostess with the mostest, Iolande V. Coming up on today's episode, we will be speaking with entertainment specialist Robinn Lange. Hold on for that, it's coming up shortly.
Okay.
So, welcome to the Iolande Argent Show. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
No problem.
Okay, so why don't we get started with you telling the guests a little bit about yourself?
Well, I have been a long-time entertainer. I started out as an entertainer and I started in a family group years ago where my parents were our managers. And then at one point, the parents kind of left and we went on our own. And now it's to the point where I've started my own agency. I've been doing it. This is my 41st year that I'm going into. And I'm an entertainment coach and consultant. I still perform, but I also teach and train and coach and consult businesses, venues, entertainers, and people that use entertainment, people that might use it for like fundraisers or venues, concert venues, nightclubs. So I really get into both the business side as well as the performing in entertainment.
Great. Okay. So what did you start out doing when the parents were still managing?
Well, I started back in the days of the family groups. Back in the end of the 60s and early 70s, there were the Osmonds and the Jackson 5 and the Beach Boys and the Cowsills, and family bands were big at the time. So we had a family band, and of course we were kids, so our parents are the ones that actually booked us and represented us. And then eventually, as we grew older, a couple people came and left, and we continued on our own, representing ourselves and, of course, working for other agencies. And then it got to the point where I kind of went solo and was interested in other entertaining endeavors myself. So the band kind of led to me getting more into the business side. And for the last 35 years, it's literally been a 50-50 diet of performing. I created a game show back in the 70s. I still tour with that. I'm a hypnotist and mentalist, and I don't really do music much anymore, but I book a lot of musical acts and artists. And so I have a good diet of both, performing as well as the behind-the-scenes business.
Okay, so which one do you prefer?
Well, that's the trick, is when I'm away from either one of them for a period of time. Like I just got done doing my spring tour. I left in March, and I just got back in late June. And by that point, I had a good fill of performing. I was ready to take a little bit of time off, and I missed some of the business side of things. Now this summer, I've been producing events and fairs and festivals and things that I do. And so that's been kind of occupying my summer. And I also, like I say, train and coach and teach a lot of up-and-coming entertainers on the business side of things. And the market is... the industry has changed since I started, with the internet and social media. There are so many more tools available to the independent entertainer now. And in the process of doing this, I also help people learn about different income, business, career opportunities that are available in entertainment. So I've been doing a lot of work on that too.
Oh, cool. So I like that. Independent entertainer. I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The one thing I've discovered is people know about entertainers. In other words, they've been to a kid's birthday party where there's a clown or a magician. Mm-hmm. They've all been to a wedding reception where there's a DJ or a band. They go to the local summer fest where there's all kinds of entertainment, but they don't tend to think of that as businesses or career opportunities or jobs. They just think of it as a guy having a good time, And when I first released my book, I put 40 different entertainment businesses that people can run from home. They're good small-based businesses. They're good. I get a lot of people that are single parents or just single people that want to start a business but don't, want to pay a franchise fee or big upfront cost. So a lot of them, when they discover some of these ideas, they're like, yeah, I never realized that is an entertainment, is a business opportunity, So I expose a lot of people to that. And once you can almost see the light bulb go off when it's like, oh, yeah. Geez, I was at that wedding for 4 hours, and that DJ probably made $1,000. That's $250 an hour. I think I'll look into that. So
True. I have friends that are DJs, and it's funny, but most people, they segregate entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
They will think, and when they think entertainment, they think actors automatically.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody in film, somebody in on TV or something. But they forget that a person who is performing as a clown is an entertainer.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure they're acting.
Well, that's the thing. Let's hope so. The thing that we have to remember is, and this is why I say it takes them a minute to realize it, but you can see that light bulb go off. We think of entertainers as the famous ones, the celebrity entertainers that we all know. But in reality, they represent only 3 to 5% of the whole industry. And there are entertainers on local levels and regional levels that there's some great, if you watch shows like America's Got Talent or American Idol, that there are some great undiscovered talents out there just, working in their own communities. And the people that choose to do this for a living, you may not think of being a magician as a living or a DJ as a living or any of the other things. I've got 40 different things in the book that most people don't think of. But then when you realize that, gee, some of these people are making an executive 6-figure living just in their home regions, So they're not household names. Not everybody knows about them, but they're the majority of the industry.
Right. And of course, since you don't get the press,
right.
Well,
right.
There's no notoriety in that.
Right. And then, of course, you'll get some people that say the irony is these people work hard and they're the professionals and have paid their dues and they've got talents and skills and abilities. And then you get somebody like a Kardashian that comes along and is well known and does get the press and publicity. And, there's room for all of it, though, in entertainment.
Well, that's true. But then, there's always the difference because she got famous for something stupid and became a celebrity and then went into becoming an entertainer.
Right, exactly.
Whereas these people
that's also a good example of how the business side, I've always said, and when I coach and train people, I tell them that the success in entertainment is made in the business behind the show. It's show business, but they're two separate entities. And really, there's great talent out there that's been undiscovered, but it's when they get the business behind it. And the Kardashians are a great example of that because they were pretty much made by the business behind them by mom, Kris Kardashian, Kris. And then, like you say, then the talents and things came out of that,
Right. Yeah. She basically took something, to basically which would have been lemons considered, and then turned it into lemonade and spun it into this almost billion-dollar business because she knew what she was doing.
And she did it well, I got to say that.
Yeah. Now we've got Kardashian everywhere.
Yeah. And I'm seeing other people trying to now follow that. She's almost created like a business model, of the parents wanting to represent the child so they don't have to pay any outside agents or managers. And if I can land myself a reality show, that's the media you need to propel that. So it's actually a game plan for a whole new generation.
I will give her respect for because she's not the first person, a parent that managed their kids.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of children did have their parents manage them and they didn't turn out so well for the kids.
Yeah.
She at least managed to, as you say, she created a really good business model, whereas she herself also became a part of that business and she makes her own money so that she doesn't have to, welsh on or take her kids' money.
Sure. She's a smart cookie too, I got to tell you.
Yeah. People may not like them, but if you step back and from a business perspective, they're
Right.
really good at what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. So what are some of the 20 what you're seeing most popular entertainment?
Well, I've got the entertainment business and career opportunities directory, and I update it every couple of years. It's been out since the first version came out in the 80s, and it's broken down into different categories because that helps understand the different opportunities that are available, and kind of also by what's needed up front, and can you do it locally, or do you have to move to LA or Hollywood or New York to do them? But the first is variety entertainers, which are your magicians, your comedians, your hypnotists, your radio personalities, your people that like to be guest speakers, that want to get into public speaking. Those are the variety entertainers. We have musical entertainers, which are your DJs, your bands, your soloists, your duos, kids and family entertainers, novelty entertainers, which are your people that do the balloons and clowning and everything else. Then we get into adult entertainers, which can be dancers, they can be adult models, they can be adult actors. And then we get into the probably one of the things that I get a lot of interest in, and the biggest misconception is people think, oh, well, I need a certain talent to be able to be an entertainer or entertainment business. Where we have the whole, the sixth section of the book is a bunch of opportunities where you don't need to have any specific talents. You don't need to play piano or tuba or anything like that. It can be being an entertainment agent, being an event planner, being a promoter of private events, wedding planners and consultants and things like that. And then there are some of the opportunities in the book are learnable. In other words, one of the things that's big on the kids' party scene right now is the dress-up parties where the girls dress. Sometimes they call them princess parties, where the girls have like a makeover and a fashion show, and they get dressed up kind of supermodel-ish or fairy tale-ish, and the guys get dressed up as superheroes and everything else, and then they have a fashion show. This is something that somebody with no special talents can learn. We have temporary tattoo people that go out and do fairs and festivals and parties, or those bounce houses that you see. So there are entertainment opportunities for those that don't want to be the performer, that just want to be the business behind it.
Interesting. Okay, you brought up some really good stuff that I definitely never would have thought of putting into the entertainment category. Like I actually am a public speaker and I'm an event planner, and oddly enough, I definitely never thought of. I mean, you get used to being told to be entertaining,
Right.
but it never occurred to me of looking at myself as an entertainer from that respect.
Right. Well, and it's some of it is an entertainer, and some of it's just as an entertainment business operator. I'll get somebody that'll say, I want to start. We don't have an agency in our area. What does it take to start an entertainment agency? And of course, the short story is, well, geez, you get a roster of talent, you can hold auditions, you can ask for submissions, and then eventually you find some different clients. And then you think of the different markets that an agency would serve. You've got the wedding market, the corporate market, the fair and festival market, schools. And then once you break all of the nightclubs, and once you break it down, you try to find entertainers, and then you try to place them in different markets and venues and events. And it's something that people can start in their own home area, and it can be very minimalistic. Somebody can do it out of home. You don't need a storefront, an office to be in a strip center or a high-rise building. And it's kind of the way things are going in event planning and in agencies today.
Yeah, true. I looked at being an agency few years back, and aside from the licensing, that I already had the talent, so I may look back into that myself because like you said, there's a lot of specialty out there that they'll think of an idea for something, but they don't necessarily know where to go to get it.
Right. And that's one of the things. The 40 opportunities in the book are kind of presented as an overview. In other words, like you said, to shed the light on them that they can be a business opportunity, a little bit of history and a little bit about what it takes. And then if somebody decides, and there's room to compare opportunities, some of the opportunities go well together. In other words, The disc jockeys a lot of times will offer karaoke. Those two things go very well together, you know. And then if somebody wants to explore deeper into, you know, what are the contacts, what are the associations, is there a trade event or a newsletter or something that I can learn more, we have 40 individual reports then for each of those opportunities in the directory where they can really get into the nuts and bolts of it and learn how to actually, you know, start and begin in the most cost-effective way. One of the biggest problems when anybody starts a business is if you can get insight or help from somebody that's got some knowledge, that can prevent years of setbacks and then, you know, money that you burn through learning the hard way, you know.
True, that's true. But then some folks just got to burn through that money and learn the hard way because they don't listen to mentors.
You're right.
Gotta have that. What is the School of Hard Knocks? That's it.
That's it. Boy, they've got a large enrollment, let me tell you.
That's very true. Very, very true. Okay. So are you seeing like trends? Have you noticed any trends where all of a sudden you'll see, I don't know, bouncing houses are taken off and clowns go down or you know, you see trends like that?
I do, and like I said, I've been doing this since the 80s, and I remember in the 80s, the mobile DJ industry was so huge, and karaoke was hot in the late 80s and early 90s, and stand-up comedy. Man, at the time, anybody that had an empty corner in a room they could put in a spotlight and a microphone would have a comedy night. And things come and go. You know, a few years ago when the iPod came out and digital music, now everybody can have that huge music library that a DJ used to have. Now, that's not saying that DJs aren't still out there and available, but they've a lot of times they've got to kind of restructure their approach a little bit and evolve, you know. I remember DJs back in the old days that used to carry crates of albums and a big coffin with 2 turntables and a mixer, and they'd break their back, where now you see DJs show up with a little USB stick with 50,000 songs on it and a little digital, you know, dual mixer, and it's a great thing. So in a lot of ways, it's gotten easier. But the things that I see come and going, event planners are very hot right now. I see a lot of people want to get into speaking. I don't know if it's everybody thinks they know they're an expert or if it's people that are being encouraged to do what they enjoy. And if you know something, you know, and you can share that with other people, there's some great opportunities there. I think there's a lot of misconceptions in our business. I worked at an event a few years back with Mike Ditka and President Bill Clinton, and some of these people get paid $50, $100, $200,000 to speak. And for the guy off the street that thinks, geez, I know a lot about petunias, I think I'm going to be a petunia specialist and write a book on petunias and speak on petunias, he's not going to make $50,000, you know, at least not initially. But so a lot of it is learning the business and how to speak and maybe how to, if you do have products, how those tie in, and even media, social media, podcasts, blogging, and so much. That's the thing. That's the trend that I see that kind of frustrates a lot of entertainers, is you used to just be able to entertain. If you were a business owner, like a bounce house owner, you just had to market those bounce houses and have your crews go out and set them up and break them down, and that was it. Where now, my goodness, with social media, it's a great way to promote, market, and advertise, but you are now having to become tech savvy, or of course pay somebody to do that. Right. And that too can be kind of consuming. You know, you can spend all day on social media if you want, just trying to spread the word out there. So in a lot of ways, it's gotten easier than ever before. It's more affordable than ever before, and more options are available. But for the person that just wanted to be the artist and not have to do all the business side, it's a little more proactive now. You know, even record labels, the big labels aren't like they used to. There's more independence than ever before, which is great for the artist, but you've kind of got to be more proactive, and you're not in debt and tied so much to the record company as are you much a little more of having to hustle yourself.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I was laughing when you said, because I actually train public speakers, and it is one of the funniest things people who actually have stories to share are terrified of public speaking. And then you get those people who get paid simply because they're celebrities and that kind of thing.
Yes.
You've already heard what they had to say because it was written by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Their delivery always was lousy. But yet and still, they're getting paid because they're celebrities of who they are,
Right.
not necessarily because they really have anything to say.
Right. Well, and that's the trick, is trying to find somebody that's got a great message and understands the importance of the performance. You know, I consider performance to be everything. In other words, it's what we do when we're speaking. It's what we do when we're performing, but it's also what you do when you're selling and presenting your business to a potential client. And like I say, that's part of the business nowadays, being a little more proactive. And if you can be well-rounded, where you have a great topic and you're a great presenter, that can be a great combination. That's what they really need to strive for. It's, you know, people sometimes tend to only see the one part, the surface part of things, you know, where that's where education and like your training, I'm sure, really enlightens them to the more encompassing picture.
Right. I try to. But again, yeah, you're right. And back to the social media, the problem is, before I started training writers, I also before speakers, I trained writers. Now that's definitely a group of people who cannot stand promotion.
Yeah.
They like to write.
Right.
That's what they do.
Right.
Nobody wants to deal with marketing, and that's the back end of business. And a lot of what's happened, the trends I'm seeing, is it's so all about the me now. It's everything you do, you do.
Right.
You're the one who does the marketing. You're the one who does all the promotion. You're the one who puts up the flyers. You do all of this marketing, trying to put yourself out there, but it's very time consuming.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. And just like your writers, songwriters for the longest time have been the same way. There's a lot of songwriters that write great music, but they just don't want to perform. That's not their thing. And the last thing they want to do is market, you know?
Right.
And so and I respect, in our industry, you respect that. There are people that, that's why I one of the trends, you mentioned trends, one of the trends I'm seeing is a lot of partners, whether it's two guys, two ladies, a couple, married couple, dating couple, it doesn't matter, partners that are going into business together. And although it's not necessarily designed this way, what I see more times than not is one of them will focus on the artistic or creative or performance side, and the other one tries to master or learn or become educated on the business side, the social media side, the marketing side.
Right.
So that's about the only way I think people can kind of get around it, is if you've got that kind of an arrangement, you know?
Yeah, you almost have to.
Yeah.
And then of course you have those shady folk that show up and try to take advantage of people, which give bad names to everybody else.
Exactly.
Who actually do really good jobs because they understand that. Yes, I realize that you want to write. A lot of authors, since I have my own publishing house, the biggest trend I'm getting hit with, alleged publishers that charge you to publish their books.
Right.
And I sit there and I get this look and I'm going, you do realize that's not how it works, right? But they don't understand. They don't know that.
They're targeting people that don't know any better.
Exactly.
That's, you know, it's just like in the world of modeling. One of the other trends that's really hot right now is promotional event modeling. And for years and years and years, you used to have to be, 5'11", 110, 120 pounds, and high fashion runway kind of thing to be a model. And that still exists, but now lifestyle modeling, they're using more of the regular looking people, and in promotional event modeling, it's open to everybody. I mean, teenagers to senior citizens, tall, short, white, black, thin, heavy, it doesn't matter. They're out there, they're looking for personality. They're looking for people that can say, hey, would you like to sample my product? Or, hey, have you tried this? Or, hey, I've got some free, or giveaways, like festivals, nightclubs, liquor promotions, wine tastings, the samplers you see at Walmart, that is very hot right now. And because it's open to so many people, I've got people that literally start that and are working within a week, making $20, $30 an hour doing that. And then that can lead to trade shows and higher type venues. But that's something that's very hot too. And I think, again, for the person that is all about me, And you can kind of do that without a lot of social media. That's one of the hot opportunities that we have right now too as well. So
Yeah, that's one I don't even think most people even think about. They
no,
go into the stores and they just see these little people standing there.
that's
Hey, sample this, try this, blah, blah,
right.
blah. You can make an entire day of doing nothing but going to the shopping. You haven't bought a thing. You just went into the sample everything.
Well, and that's just it. And a few years ago, my daughter and I wrote a book together. In one of our current agencies, I own three agencies. I own a full-service agency and two specialty agencies.
Mm.
And my daughter handles the modeling side of our operation, and I handle entertainment. And this promotional event modeling started becoming so popular, but people didn't know how to get into it, and they'd ask a million questions. So we wrote a book, The Beginner's Guide to Promotional Event Modeling. And it originally started as one of the opportunities in this entertainment and career directory. And it was the one, like you said, that the trend is here. It kind of rose to the top of people asking about it. It's male, female, it doesn't matter. It's kind of anybody can do it. College students do it. Seniors do it. So we wrote the book, and we got fantastic response. But I think that's one of the reasons why it's hitting on all the points. It's about me, and it's something I can walk into and learn as I go. It's better than making 10 or 12 bucks at a McDonald's or a fast food place. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for the person that needs a babysitter and all those single parents or whatever, it's an opportunity that didn't exist before. So that's another one that's hot.
Yeah, plus promotional modeling, it gives you more flexibility.
It really does.
It's not like you're there for 8 hours. You're only there for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Got little kids, you can do your promotional modeling and set it up where you're only there while your kids are in daycare or whatever they're doing.
Exactly. And you want your kids getting to school. Obviously you can't do nightclubs, but you could probably do grocery stores and things like that. So you can kind of base it around your schedule, your interests, your availabilities, and babysitters.
And the babysitters.
That's
right.
True.
That's very true. So what's your favorite type of entertaining?
I'm kind of an older classic guy. I've got two kinds of favorites. So I like good comedy or comedy with something, whether it's comedy magic, whether it's a stand-up comedy show or an improv group or a comedy troupe. And years and years and years ago, when I got out of the band, one of the first things I started doing was, this was the early 80s, and soap operas were very, very popular at the time. All My Children, General Hospital, all of these shows. And I had a call at at my agency that a Kmart was doing a grand opening, and they had Loretta Lynn booked to be the entertainer, and she got sick. I think she had laryngitis. So I had the local entertainment agency in town. I was also a radio personality in town. So they called me and said, "What can you do?" And about a week earlier, I had a couple of soap opera stars on that were the hot group, hot couple at the time. And in the early 80s, General Hospital had Luke and Laura. And All My Children had Greg and Jenny. And I had Greg and Jenny and Tad on my show, and the actors that played them. So I called them up and said, "Hey, would you guys be willing to do a personal appearance for me at the grand opening of this Kmart?" And they were thrilled. Back in those days, soap stars didn't get out of the studio, and I was one of the first people to take them out and start doing personal appearances in malls and colleges and theme parks. And they came out and did it for me and thought I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's like, 3,000 people showed up at this Kmart. They had no idea they had so many fans. In those days, the studios would kind of keep fan mail and popularity away from them. They had somebody that handled that for them. Because when it became contract negotiation time, if they knew how popular they were, they'd want more money,
Right. Yeah.
So I started getting them out doing these personal appearances, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. I'd love to do more. Keep us in mind." And they went back to the studio on Monday and told all these people about this new agent in Chicago that was doing these personal appearances. And literally by like 6 o'clock the next day, I had like 50 or 60 different people from several soaps that called up and asked if I would represent them. So I really like doing the celebrity appearances as well. Though, of course, soap operas were popular then, they have gone and have been replaced by reality stars today, you know.
Mm.
So, but you follow the trends. You sometimes you lead the trends. I started the soap opera thing along with a couple other agencies throughout the country. There were three of us doing them, and it evolved. And so I still like doing those kind of things. It's great to see people so excited to meet those that they look up to, whether it's a music star, an actor, or anything like that. So
Right.
those two things I still like.
Okay. Yeah, good comedy is that's so subjective. No,
It is.
good comedy makes me laugh. Good comedy. But you know what, there's always a place for people who are new comics and they need a way to try out their material. And you know, so you got to give them their props too, because I give credit. I will applaud anybody who can stand up in front of anybody.
Oh, exactly. And especially, you know, when you know that it's not just somebody going up doing their 5 minutes of material. There's all the emotions, the nervousness, the, well, am I going to forget this? Am I going to, and stand-up comics are, comedians are one of the things in the book that has been there since it started. You know, some things have come and gone, but that's been in there since the beginning. And to me, there is no purer or more pure type of entertainment than a person and a microphone and an audience, you know, and nothing to hide behind, no instrument, no gimmicks, no props, no magic wands, just you, your personality, and you're going to sink or swim by what comes out of your mouth.
True.
I think that's, you know, open mics, you know, they've always been around, and that's a great breeding ground for people to you know, get their feet wet and to take some hard knocks and to learn the ropes. So, got to respect them.
That's true. Have you had much experience with slam poets?
I'm familiar with them, and I've been to a couple of events. The first one, of course, you know, one of the things I try to do is I try to stay up on things, especially new trends and whatnot. And I remember when raves started and couple parties and everything, you know, and the slam poetry thing is the same thing. You go there thinking, okay, well, this is going to be a poetry, and, you know, it's maybe going to be kind of hip and contemporary, and my goodness, it woke me up. So yeah, it was, you know, and again, it's art, it's contemporary. It's very similar to stand-up comedy in the sense that it's just that person and their material, you know.
It's very true. It is definitely. It's sort of like a cross between regular poetry and the what is it they used to do in the beatnik days, the symposiums where you got up with and you just spoke your mind. You might have had a little music going, and you know, you put it out there.
Right.
Yeah, those are kind of fun. We have a couple of those that happen here in because I'm in Northern Cal, so every so often I'll go check those out.
Yeah, those are great.
What's going on?
Yeah, for sure.
Those are nice. So let's say somebody wanted to become an agent. Mm-hmm. How would they become an agent?
Well, the first thing to do is kind of learn as much as you can about the business. Like I say, it's one of the things that we have featured in the book. And if they wanted to learn more, we have the info report available where we kind of get into it. There are different kinds of agents and agencies, and it's important to kind of learn about them. There are full service agencies that offer a full roster of everything. They may have clowns and disc jockeys and comedians and bounce houses and everything imaginable, mimes and puppet shows and everything else. Then there are specialty agencies that just specialize in one area of entertainment. There are agencies that, of course, disc jockey services that just do disc jockeys, or agencies that just do celebrities, or agencies that just do comedy. They do comedy theaters and comedy clubs. So specialty agencies are full service agency. And then the next thing is kind of learning about venues. You know, there are private events, and there's plenty of markets for those, you know, weddings, graduations, bar mitzvahs, retirement parties, block parties. And then there's, you know, professional things like corporate events like trade shows and company parties around the holiday time, training and sales events. There's cruise ships. So there's a lot of different markets. So it's important to kind of understand the markets you want to target Some people are full service in general and serve everything. Others try to pinpoint it and specialize and then maybe branch out from there. So it's learning about the inner workings. Some agencies just try to get bookings for their talent. Other agencies also represent clients. In other words, they may have 4 or 5 nightclubs, a theater, and 5 or 10 companies that they represent. And they're always trying to match, they find out about their events and they try to have the talent that's going to be most appropriate for that. So you have to decide if you just want to find bookings for your talent, or if you want to maintain a balance of talent, a roster of talent, and a portfolio of clients. So, so those are probably some of the options to learn about, and we get in there. Most agents work on a commission. Some agents cross over into other services as well, like they may offer sound and lighting rentals and staging or production. And sometimes they cross over into full service party planning, where they work with different venues, and they work with table and chair and linen rentals and cake and caterers and all kinds of things. So there's a lot of options, and it's kind of a customization kind of thing where you can pick and choose what you want. I always suggest look in your area and see what there is, what's available, what there isn't, what there might be a need for. If there's a lot of venues, weddings are everywhere, schools are everywhere. Those are markets that are pretty much common everywhere. But if they have a big nightclub scene, if there's a big art district, there's different things to look for that might kind of guide you where you want to go and where you want to start. But so that's the best thing, and then figure out the kind of entertainment that is most conducive to A, your area, and B, those type of clients or venues that you have.
Okay. How about, have you had any experience with your using Fiverr to promote as an entertainer?
I have a little bit. Some of the entertainers I work with have, because a lot of the opportunities we have are kind of low startup things. I always try to look for resources that can help people get out of the gate and get their materials together as soon as possible. There's nothing worse than wanting to do it, not having the resources, because that creates frustration and a lack of action and everything else. I've used them for a lot of graphic work that I need designed, one-sheets or promotional materials. I've also used them if I have an event in an area and I need somebody to come out and be a part of that event. I've used them once or twice for ticketing. I've used people that have come out and done caricatures at before a pre-show, before an event happened. So I've used them a little bit, but mostly in an artistic, like proofreading, graphic design, building a logo, designing a promotional piece, or something like that. Yeah. Okay,
cool. Mm-hmm. I was looking on there earlier, and actually they had, they send a little newsletter around.
Yeah.
And one of the gentlemen was talking about how he became I guess you could basically call him a promotional spokesperson.
Oh, okay.
Companies. And I was on there, and he was saying, check out the buyers or look around and see who's doing this, that, and the other. And I thought, it's not a bad idea, because there are a lot of people who need the practices, models and.
Sure. Well, I got a guy that I work with that uses Fiverr to do voiceover. He offers voiceover services. Mm-hmm. And it started out, he was just, I'll record your voicemail message, or your outgoing message. And then it was, I'll voice a demo video, or I'll do any kind of announcing, or I'll record your radio commercial or whatnot. And so I think that's one of the things with these kind of technologies. It's like Facebook. When Facebook first started, it was just to kind of communicate with people, with friends, family, keep everybody in the loop. And then people started figuring out ways to use it in marketing and how to use it to sell tickets for an event or something. So right. I think Fiverr is another one of those resources that people are coming up with creative ways to tap into it. And what's good about Fiverr is it's so affordable that you can actually test. One of the things in marketing we always say is test out different methods, or test out different campaigns, or different promotional pieces. And sometimes, if you're going to do a mailing to 1,000 people, that can be expensive testing, where Fiverr is a great way to tap into things like that. And there's a lot of creative people on there. So it doesn't surprise me that some people are finding ways like that to use it that we may see more of.
Well, that's true. I was thinking, I went on there right after I read it, and I was looking around, and I was looking at the niche that he chose, because it's also, he pointed out, look and see who's offering everything, and then look and see what niche isn't being fulfilled.
Right.
If you fulfill it, there you go.
Sure.
I thought, hey, that's not a bad idea. So, hey.
And that's the same way for a lot of startup agencies. Is it's look for something that needs that need, and if it can be provided, poetry like the slam poetry, while in more contemporary urban areas, it's kind of popular. But if you kind of go out sometimes, the further out of the way places, a place maybe an hour outside of a town, it's not. I had a guy that did this with comedy nights. He was a comedian that was part of the boom in the 80s, and kind of we were talking about how, there's just not as many venues left to play, and some of the venues don't want the same old guys. He's in his 50s. Because they don't want the same old guys. They want to break in new talent, so they try to mix some of the older guys with some of the new guys, and you get two different audiences and two different dynamics. He goes, I want to do my own comedy nights. And he did the same thing. He just, he goes, there's plenty of comedy in the city. He goes, so I'm going out about 45 minutes to an hour and a half outside of the city, and I'm doing one comedy night in this town on a Tuesday night, maybe a half hour away, one on a Wednesday night, one on a Thursday night. And I think he books himself. He's the MC, and then he brings in another couple comedians with him. And by the time he pays the comedians, I think he makes a couple $100, $250 a night. But he's doing it 5 nights a week. So that's $1,200 that he's making.
Exactly.
Doing what he wanted because he found a need for it and found a way to make it happen.
Right. And, that's what it takes. I think a lot of people don't know where to start, but if you're actually doing something, like you said, you don't have to be an actor or model or whatever, but if you are starting out as an actor or a model, there are ways to find ways, utilizing your talent. Like an actor could be an MC.
Exactly. Well, here's a story. I had a guy contact me who I used to work with his brother. His brother was a guitar player that used to do like acoustic kind of, I don't want to call it folk, but he'd do everything. He'd do Jim Croce, and he would do Bob Seger, but he would also do like Luther Vandross, and he'd do some acoustic versions of things that you might have, Jimmy Buffett, whatever. And he passed away. So his brother calls me and says, I've got his PA system. He had a nice JBL mixer, a couple of speakers and a mixer. And he goes, I'm not an entertainer. I don't know what to do with this. Would you be interested in it? Or would you be willing to help me sell it? And I said, sure, I'm not interested in it, but, I can help you sell it, or, you might want to consider, have you ever thought of doing anything with it? And he goes, well, what could I do? He goes, I'm not an entertainer. I don't know anything about it. He goes, I love music and hanging out in those kind of venues, but I know nothing about it. So I said, well, why don't you host open mic nights? Go into some pubs or bars that don't have a sound system, and you'll come in and you'll set up the PA system, and you'll introduce the acts. The acts sign up with you. And he's been doing that now, I think, for about 2 years. And he too, I think he does it 4 nights a week, different night every week, every 4 nights of the week, a different place every night. And, it all started out because he inherited a sound system. He wasn't an entertainer.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
He created his own little market and his own little niche. There were no open mics around him. And I told him about it. I also gave him a website that I came across that has venues that have open mics can list it on there, and it's nationwide. So like if you're going to go to Oklahoma City tomorrow and you wanted to go to an open mic, you can go to the website and find out what it is. And oh my goodness, you thought I created I guess I kind of did create a business for him, but he made it happen. I just kind of gave him the idea,
But again, that's a good point right there of business. Yeah, I can teach you how to do anything you want to know, but Are you going to act on it?
You got to take the action.
You got to take
That's
the
it.
action.
You are so right.
Yeah, that's always the fun part of business. The part about mentoring. I can mentor you if you want to pay me to sit here and mentor you. Go ahead, but if you're never going to take action on it, and the only people in this business is in your head, then that's money you're losing. But hey, if it makes you feel better.
Well, and another one of those kind of opportunities that going back to your question about what's trendy, is trivia nights are trendy right now. And it's kind of the same thing. I've got guys that do trivia nights, a different night in a different venue each night, 4, 5, 6 nights a week,
I may have to try that one.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of these are things people would never think of till you put them in the right perspective and say, oh my gosh, I never realized that. I can show up with my laptop, they plug it right into their TV, and of course you got to get your trivia questions, but you can create those. And, those people charge $150 to $250 a night, and they have clients and tournaments that look forward to them. We do it every Tuesday night, and we're going to do a 5-week tournament or something like that. People that enroll in advance, and it's just, there's so many great entertainment business opportunities that people, one of the reasons I think they work so well is people don't think of them as business opportunities, so there's not a lot of competition. You can create your own markets or niches, like you said.
That's interesting. I never really thought about that, because you can actually do a trivia night, have people sign up, pay $20, and say, hey, we're going to do this for 5 weeks. At the end of 5 weeks, give away, I don't know, $1,000 grand prize.
Exactly.
Immediately, because people don't even realize that's how the lottery works. The lottery doesn't have that $1 million until you buy that lottery ticket.
Right, exactly.
So, if you're coming back, you've paid like the $50 entrance fee, and you've got 10, 15, 20 people that you're going up against all the time. Guess what? We now have that entrance fee.
Exactly. Okay. Well, and I guess if somebody wanted to be real entrepreneurial or enterprising, they could do the same thing. You've got a sound system, which nowadays, again, is so much easier because they have speakers that are powered. You get a wireless mic, and you could technically do trivia nights. You could do open mics. You could host the poetry slam. You could literally have all these different things that you offer, and you could be that kind of an agency that just offered those services to nightclubs and bars and pubs. So that's why I say that's the beauty of entertainment, is there's so many different things, and for the person that is creative and can come up with some good ideas and search those kind of niches and markets and opportunities, and is willing to take the action, like you say, great possibilities there.
Yep, there we go. Okay. Hey, do you have a copy of your book you can hold up and let people see? Because I don't have the screenshot of it.
Oh, do I have one here? I don't actually have a copy of it, no.
Okay, we'll have to figure out how to cut that in.
Okay.
All right, well, tell people how to get a hold of you, since we're running out of time here. So
sure. You can reach us at www.entertainmentopportunities.com. And the book is available through there. You can also email me through there. There's a place where if you want to sign up and get on our newsletter list, you'll find out about different releases that come out. Because after we introduce people to these 40 different entertainment possibilities and opportunities, we also have, like I say, the info reports, training events, webinars, coaching, all kinds of things to help them. We don't just say, here you go, now you're on your own. We show them how they can run with it and grow, and we follow the trends and help them. And we have different events that we host throughout the year for them as well to support them in their endeavors. So It's entertainmentopportunities.com.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show today and taking the time out of your busy schedule. And as I say, I am sorry about the whole technical thing at the beginning.
We're entertainers. We're used to technical difficulties. It's all part of the game.
Yes,
but thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, I enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you, viewers, for you jumping onto this episode. And we will see you again next time on the Iolande Argent Show.